Hey, it's Dan Neely with NFL DFS Picks. We're here going to do a Drafters $15 million three NFL Best Ball Championship, 500K to first, $15 entry fee, $2.5 million in prizes. Right now, the tournament is about 1/3 full. This is going to be about my 110th draft in this particular best ball tournament. Let's see where I'm at here. I am the 10 pick. I'm just joshing. I've done 115 of these, so I've been trying to slow down a little bit. I'm doing just one a day right now. Drafters has a promotion. They're giving away free tickets if you draft every day in a row. Basically, you're getting a ticket for 10, a couple more for 20, and a few more for 30. So if you stick this thing out, you can maximize your tickets. If you're new to drafters, sign up and do some $2 drafts and get used to the platform a little bit before you start doing these. This is real money, and $15 adds up fast. So I'm going to have the 10 spot here. Not a pick I'm real happy about. I'm kind of hoping somebody takes Garrett Wilson before pick 9. That's best case scenario for me. That means somebody that I like falls to 10, and I'll get a guy that I really think there's 10 elite talents in this draft, and then a pretty significant drop off. And I don't really like a lot of the guys that are going on the turn. So I'm going to have real unique teams compared to most people. I'm not drafting a few of the guys that are getting taken here at the end, mainly because they performed poorly last year, and they're getting taken a little higher than I'd like to take them. So we'll see what happens. Pick 1's on the clock. We got Johnny Patron. Snowman's in here. Hey, Snowman. I don't know if you're watching or not, but it'd be cool if you were, and that's awesome you're in here. Magic Sports Guy. J33103. Scorpion King. 9 Shubes. And go defer. Dorito. Theo Messiah. Wrathstorm. Eamon 5000. And myself, just Josh, and that's a Josh Allen, little Josh Allen thing. We got some Eagles fans in here with their Snowman with CeeDee Lamb. Snowman, if you're listening, I'm still taking CeeDee Lamb. I'll cheers to that. Not even remotely worried about that. Maybe it'll come back to bite me, but not even remotely worried about that. Okay, so we got a real traditional start here going. Board's pretty much falling how it could or should. Jefferson's at 4. You don't see that often anymore, but that's probably how it should be anyway. So St. Brown, Chase, probably Breece Hall coming up next. Bijan, Breece Hall, Theo Messiah. Please do not believe in A.J. Brown. All right, here I am. And I don't like Garrett Wilson, and I'm not really that into taking Puka Nacua that high. And Devontae Adams is – I think I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor here. I like Jonathan Taylor more than I think the next guy by quite a lot. So I think there's kind of 4 elite running backs, and then there's a little bit of a drop off when you get into Gibbs, Gibbs shares the touches there quite a bit, and Saquon's probably going to concede a lot of touchdowns to Hurts, and that might be a problem with Taylor too. Oh, Taylor might be losing some touchdowns to Anthony Richardson. I've been thinking about doing like a Colts stack. Maybe if Pittman slides into this 34-39 range, I'll see if I can't get Rich 863 spot. So I like Nico Collins. He had some really incredible advanced metrics. He was the NFL leader in yards per target with over 4, which is insane. He had 109 targets and he missed a couple games. So I think that it's conceivable to think that he's probably good for 130, 140 targets this year. And I don't think anybody did more with less last year than Nico Collins. So I'm just kind of counting on Nico to take a step with CJ Stroud. And I think that Nico is going to outperform, a lot of these receivers that were just taken ahead of him. I think he's going to have a better year than Puka, Samuel, Garrett Wilson. I may have considered Marvin Harrison Jr. there. So we got, after my pick, Adams, London, Kupp, Barkley, Olave. It's fine. I don't really want London, Barkley, Olave really on my team. So it's not that I think those guys stink. I'd love to take them. I'd like to take them more like around 40 or something, not as high as they're going this year. My draft style is, I really like to make sure I have at least 2 stud receivers at the top. So I'm probably going to lean into hoping that a good receiver falls to me here at 34. I know that I have a tendency to get stuck in drafting some of these better running backs once the value starts looking real good. I have a hard time taking a receiver that isn't the number one guy when there's still a running back that's on the board that's the number one guy. So knowing that I'm going to more than likely always err towards the better value in those 100 to 130 picks as far as ADP goes, I always try to at least get 3, maybe 4 receivers early in my first 5 picks for sure. And that way I know that even if I ignore that position for a while, at least I have some real good studs there that I focused on getting early. It's real important to do. You don't want to leave yourself thin at any position, and the easiest position to leave yourself thin at's receiver. Just look at the draft board right now. I mean, I'm up next. So after I make the turn, we'll take a look at this a little bit better. So, some guys that are really standing out to me right now are Etienne. I think he's a super stud running back, and I hate to take 2 running backs this early, but I really think that he should be going higher than 37.5. So I might go ahead and take him. Michael Pittman is sitting there. I could build this Richardson stack, but I don't think I should because I have Nico. I'm going to take Etienne and see what comes back to me here. So now I'm definitely going to go wide receiver in my next 2 picks. I almost have to. I've invested plenty in the running back position. I can just get a 3rd and a 4th guy. Some guys that I love their value maybe. a little bit later. Have running back set, and I shouldn't really have to worry about that too much more. I like George Pickens here. I'm going to take George Pickens. I think that he's going to be in line for a really big role in Pittsburgh. I think that he's way undervalued, and I think that where I took him is right where he actually belongs to go. So I took him a little early, maybe 5 picks early, 6 picks early, according to the ADP. But I've done 115 drafts now, and I'm not all that concerned about maxing out my ADP value at this point. I've done that. I got some pretty strong convictions at this stage, and I got convictions that Jonathan Taylor, Nico Collins, Etienne, and George Pickens are all going to be really good players. And I think that Collins and Pickens have a chance to each be in top 10 receivers this year if they get the volume. If each of those guys get 130 plus targets, I predict they'll both be top 10 receivers. And then Jonathan Taylor, I mean, he could have 2,000 yards. He's that good. And then I think that, Jacksonville with Peterson, they really do a good job using their running backs. Peterson's just great for running backs and tight ends. And, he can get production for 3 different receivers. There won't be a super high-end receiver on that team, but I think that Kirk, Davis, and Brian Thomas can all, flirt. So as you can see, I'm a Bills fan. NFL DFS Picks is a little project that I have going on where I'm going to be doing some DraftKings DFS content. I like to max out all the single entries every week. I get into the more expensive single entries even. I really enjoy those tournaments. I do really well in them. I almost always at least place. I'm going to be sharing some sleepers every week. I have a website that I'm building. It's called NFLDFSpicks.com. I'm pretty much ready to launch it. I just need to do a few more things. And it's basically just like a blog site. I'm going to have 4 articles a week, and I'm going to be doing some videos on YouTube, and they're going to be, featured on the website as well. I wouldn't say the website's going to be too crazy. I'm not a professional at any of this. This is my 5th live stream ever. So if you're watching this, and you're wondering what the heck this guy thinks he's doing, it's because he's only done this 5 times. So, and if I'm helping you with any good advice here, I'm happy to. This is why I'm here. I started this all up to help people win money. I wanted to just kind of like have a site that didn't have like cookies warnings when you open it up. And I don't want to steal anybody's info, and I don't want to ask anybody for any information. I just want to be like a legit free content provider. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to build this up as big as I can. And hopefully maybe someday it's like a resume for me to apply to do some bigger stuff with, once I've proven that I know what I'm talking about. So here we are. It's my pick. I got my rankings here. I really need I think I really need a wide receiver. Calvin Ridley is really impressing in camp. Tennessee has the Bengals offensive coordinator as their head coach, Callahan, and he is using Ridley in the same role that he used Jamar Chase in. He's going to use him. He's going to line him up all over the field. I'm personally here that Evan Ingram falls, and he did. So I have a real strong conviction that Evan Ingram's going to have a great year. I'm super, super high on Evan Ingram. I have him ranked as my number 2 tight end this year in my tight end rankings for PPR. Last year, he led the NFL from the tight end position in targets with 143. He had over 100 catches. In his last 6 games, he averaged, I think, 19.6 points, which was 5 full points better than tight end 1 for the year averaged as far as points per game go. I think that he's really settling into this role, and Brian Thomas is a great deep threat, so he's going to really take the top off the defense and start opening up a lot of underneath stuff that's going to be easy. Evan Ingram's not going to have to work too hard to get open. I think that he's just going to cakewalk into 140 targets again this year, in my opinion. So I have a nice little Jags stack here going with Etienne and Ingram. Maybe I can get me some Brian Thomas Jr. when it comes back. If Jake Ferguson doesn't slide, I'm a big bully tight end guy. I want to make sure I get 2 good tight ends in this draft because I'm doing a tutorial and I want to show you how to draft a bully tight end team. You don't have to take 2 top guys to call it a bully tight end as far as ADP goes. You have to take 2 top tight ends. And right now, the top 10 tight ends in this draft all have a chance to be tight end 1 if things just go just right. I can come up with a story for Kelsey to be tight end 1, Laporta to be tight end 1, McBride to be tight end 1, Kincaid to be tight end 1, Andrews to be tight end 1. I could see how Pitts could be tight end 1. I could see how Ingram could be tight end 1. I could see how Kittle could be tight end 1. I could see how Jake Ferguson could be tight end 1. And I could see a world where David Njoku has a chance of being tight end 1. So, you have to get 2 of those top 10 guys that legit have an outside chance of finishing in the top 5 at tight end. Out of those 10 guys, any of those guys could easily finish top 5. All they need is the targets. So whoever gets the targets is going to finish top 5. If you get 120 plus targets out of those top 10 tight ends, the guys with 120 plus have probably an 80 to 90% chance of finishing as a top 5 tight end this year. I think it gives you a big advantage if you do it. Now you don't have to look at tight ends again in the draft. You don't have to worry about a thing. And you, like in this case, if I were to take Jake Ferguson, which is a perfect value pick for me if he slides here, I have the opportunity now to build a Dak Prescott and a Trevor Lawrence stack because I have nice little thing going on here with Ferguson. And see, Ingram, Laporta, and Kittle are all gone. So if I'm going to give you a good draft tutorial here, I'm going to take these guys are going to go bully tight end because not a lot of people like to do it. And that being said, I'm going to take another receiver because I'm a little thin at receiver, and I know that I'm going to want to take some running backs here coming up. And I'm hoping to build this Jag stack. So that being the case, I'm going to take Brian Thomas here, and I'm going to hope that Jake Ferguson makes it through these 2 picks because they both have Laporta and Kittle, and neither one of those guys absolutely need a tight end. So I'm going to take the chance, and I think it'll pay off. And I'm not sure that Brian Thomas would have made it. He was a number 1 receiver on the board still. And it worked. Here I am. Jake Ferguson, was it five picks after ADP? And I just made that happen by paying attention to the draft board. And you have to pay attention to the draft board, guys. It's real important. So I got my bully tight end. Guess what? Now I can take Njoku off there. I'm not drafting 3 tight ends. There's no way, no how. Actually, there might be a way or how, but it would only be like, hypothetically speaking, I have my second QB or my first QB's tight end hasn't gone yet, and it's round 20. And I have every other position completely locked up. I might take a tight end just for correlation, only if I only have two QBs, though. I don't want to have more than three tight ends, and I don't have more than three QBs on any team at all. I took 4 QBs the other day, and it worked out pretty good for me, but I was stacked across the board. I had 5 starting running backs, 2 really good tight ends, and I had 6 stud receivers, and I waited on QB until like pick 144, and I actually was able to take correlation and get my top 4 weapons receivings quarterbacks late in the draft. It was like Justin Herbert first, and I had Palmer and Chark as kind of like my wide receiver 5-6. I had Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, and I had Geno Smith and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And then in the very last pick of the whole entire draft, because I had the one pick that draft, so I picked last. I took Russell Wilson because I had Pickens, and I hated doing 4 QBs, but it just made sense that time. So you can't get too caught up in what to do here. You got to maximize your team's values. You got to put yourself in a position to score the most amount of points every week, and you got to keep track of where you're at and what you're doing the whole time, and you got to be able to look down the road a little bit. So I'm pick 106, 111, 130, and 135. So basically, I want to get at the minimum 2 more starting running backs on my team in those 4 picks. And the worst case scenario, pick 135, I'll take Chuba Hubbard, and that'll be about 10, 15 picks before he's supposed to be getting picked. But he's going earlier and earlier all the time. So worst case scenario here, my number 4 starting running back's Chuba Hubbard, and I take him at 130 or 135, depending on how bare the cabinet is by then. So I'm not that concerned about QB yet. I would like to get Lawrence maybe here at 111. At 130 is a little pushing it. I think his ADP is around 119. Let me check. Oh, he's gone. Okay, so Trevor Lawrence went about 19 picks before ADP, which that's fine. And Dak Prescott just went. So there goes my other good chance of a stack. So I had really like stacking with my tight ends. Both of those guys just went. So that probably almost definitely takes QB completely off the board for me for a while. I'm gonna be waiting on QB now in this draft. And I'm not going to be spending too much capital on the quarterback position on this team. I might go 3 late quarterbacks and maybe even pick a QB that's there, and my 20th round pick as a 4th QB if I'm able to get all these other positions shored up really well. The only other QB that I'd be interested in maybe is nope, he's gone. So I was going to say Jaden Daniels, but he went 20 picks early too. Oh, man, I really need some running backs here, but boy, do I love Joshua Palmer. This is going to kill me to pass on him. I'm going to draft him. So I have a good receiving core now. I got Nico, Pickens, Ridley, Thomas, Palmer. I can really just chill a little bit on that. And I'm hoping Devin Singletary doesn't get stolen from me here. Come on. Njoku. That was a great pick by him. He went at 110. That was 6-7 picks after ADP. Ridiculous value there. Devin Singletary for me is a great RB3. I'm super stoked about Devin Singletary. I've been on the Eric Gray train all year. I probably have Gray drafted on like 60 rosters because I've been taking Singletary a lot and handcuffing him with Gray. and I saw Tracy was maybe winning that battle there, claiming a little bit as the RB2, but I think Gray's tape is really, really impressive. He just blows me away with how good his vision is. He seems to always make the right step, and he always seems to hit the right hole on zone plays. I think that he's a really, really smart back, and I think he fits what the Giants are going to do on offense. The Giants coach was the Bills offensive coordinator, and I had season tickets then, and I really follow. I really know what they do well, and it's not a system that rookies typically step in and contribute with. I'll say that about Tracy. If Tracy's able to step in and contribute as a rookie with Brian Daboll, he's going to really be in a small class of people that have done that. That's not really historically happened. Devin Singletary and Zach Moss used to play on the same team with Daboll, and Moss just couldn't get on the field. So Moss was being taken way before Singletary, and this whole year. And being a Bills fan, we all thought Singletary was a better back. I mean, we didn't just think it. I'd go out on a limb and say we're all pretty sure that Singletary is the better back out of those guys. And I think that Singletary is going to have a great year, and with Daboll, I think that he'll probably finish somewhere between RB14 and RB, which is perfect value for my RB3. If I could have 2 top 10 guys like I have with Taylor and Etienne, and then I can have Singletary in there. And I'm just hoping so bad that a good running back falls to me. I don't care which one it is. There's jack crap left. What's up, Hot Take? Glad you're here, man. Oh, man, we are missing out at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton. We have so many friends there right now. They're posting pictures. I'm so jealous. We have family staying here. My fiance and daughter are up at Daytona Beach right now with them. We got my fiance's dad and wife and 2 sisters and grandmother are all down, and we've had a great week together. We went to Disney. We went to Hollywood Studios, and we went to Star Wars Land, and my Fast Pass was broke, and I sweet talked my way into every single Lightning lane, and I even sweet talked my way onto Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. I didn't even have yeah, dude. Hot take, George. Yes, man. I will make that pack. I will go next year for sure. I definitely want to be there, and I definitely want to network and just make friends. And I just want to take advantage of the opportunity to hang out with all you guys and just party it up and have fun, because I'm just a dad now, and I moved down here to Orlando about a year and 10 months ago, and I have like friends, but where I used to live, I have like crazy friends that I probably shouldn't hang around, and those are the best kind of friends to have, so I don't have any of those anymore. So who knows? Hot take. Maybe we'll have an amazing time there. I'm hoping a running back slides to me. I might even reach a little. Hot take says, let's go. I've never been to Canton. It'll be a little bit of network and meeting new people. So I grew up in Bradford, PA, which isn't that far from there. So So I'm going to take Nick Chubb here. I think that this is good value still for him. Pick 130. It's only a little early. I'm a huge Nick Chubb guy, and I really need a fourth starting running back. And when Nick Chubb comes back, he's definitely the starting running back. So don't think that Ford is going to be much a factor as Chubb gets healthier and healthier. Ford's going to get phased out. Ford sucked last year. I know he finished as a top 20 running back, but I had him on like all of my fantasy teams almost. And I spend like 30, 40 hours a week researching matchups, and I know who's got a good matchup every week. And I'm trying to take advantage. So Chuba Hubbard's going at 143. I think Chuba Hubbard is probably going to be the starter there for the whole year. I'm not a big Jonathan Brooks guy. Chuba was amazing in college. He had almost a 2,000-yard, 18-touchdown season as a sophomore, and he got a little bit banged up. And I don't believe that it's too early to take Chuba Hubbard right now because the value is too good as getting a guy that has a chance of being the starting running back for the whole season. And now at this point, I don't have to take another running back if I don't want to. Now, I was thinking about taking Goff. If he slid, I usually, once I start neglecting QB, now I'll open myself up to taking the guys that are sliding, right? So I can't really get a whole lot of correlation with this roster build. I've pretty much already screwed the pooch on that. Hot Take says, I don't have any friends from high school or any time frame of school. Right? Hot Take, did you grow up in Jacksonville or were you transplanted down there? I can't remember. I probably may have asked you this already. So I live in Orlando, and George Hot Take City lives in Jacksonville, and I got some work up there. I'm gonna stop up and see him. I almost ate at his restaurant one day, but I ended up getting too busy. Hot Take, born and raised in Jacksonville, brother. Left all my friends behind. I had to grow up. I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm in the same boat, and moving to Orlando was the best thing I ever did for my family, for sure. My daughter and my relationship is so good now. She's such a little sweetie. She's a daddy's girl through and through. She tells me every day how much she loves me now. And when I was living in Bradford, I was living in Pennsylvania. I had a lot going on. I was a low handicap golfer. I've been a one handicap for a couple years in my life, but I'm not playing like that now. But I was a low handicap golfer. I golfed about 100 rounds a year, and I lived in an area that was snow on the ground for 4 or 5 months every year. So that was not easy to do. And I always had, a bunch of people I was playing golf with. And then I skied, and I was crazy skier. And I hung out with all the bros from the mountain, and we'd all, we just knew that we just show up at the parking lot, and we all parked in the same spots at the Black Diamond lifts, and we just get there about the same time, and we all ski in the woods all day long and rip the woods up at Holiday Valley, New York, in Ellicottville, New York. Really nice little ski resort we had there, about 40 minutes from where I was living in Bradford. And then in the summer, we were boating every weekend on the Allegheny Reservoir. Let's take a look at my team here. So I still don't have a QB. I should probably just buckle down and go QB right here. It makes sense. I don't really have a chance to get good correlation, so I'm not going to worry about it yet. maybe I'll be able to get some correlation still. I think I'm just going to take maybe my 2 favorite QBs that are left, whoever they are, whoever I think has the highest ceilings. 3 guys that are catching my eye: Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, and Deshaun Watson. I'd be happy with 2 of the 3 of those guys as my 2 main quarterbacks. After that, I really am not too excited about anybody else. There goes Herbert. That was my favorite of the guy, mainly because I could still get some correlation with Quentin Johnson and DJ Chark still on the board. So I'm a little disappointed there. That took a little wind out of my sails. I don't really want to take Matthew Stafford here. I'd rather take Deshaun Watson, I think. Let's see what these guys have at the end. So he has Njoku, and he has Goff and Richardson. He has Harrison, Samuel, Pittman, Stafford. He has Nakua. Man, he has guys. He could take either one of these guys, Stafford or Watson. Crap. I'm going to take Stafford because I think he has a little bit higher of a draft opinion of people. So I'm just going to take him out of the 2 first and hope that Watson slides and hope that maybe one of these guys wanted Stafford but not Watson. That's best case scenario for me. I'm getting these guys after ADP. I'm not going to reach for Baker or Will. I'll wait and see if one of those guys slides to the next turn, and if Watson doesn't make it. I really like Michael Wilson here. So if Watson goes, I'm going to go Michael Wilson. So I'm either going to go Watson or Michael Wilson. I'm kind of hoping to go Watson. I think he's got a good chance of being pretty good, I think. All right, I got my Q working over here in case something bad happens. Got Watson in there. Wilson's never going to make it back, but I'll leave him in the queue just for the heck of it. So my team right now has Stafford, Watson, Taylor, Etienne, Singletary, Chuba. I mean, Chubb and Chuba are let me just put it this way. I don't need both those guys to hit for this team to be good. What I could use is Chuba being good for like the first 8 weeks and Chubb being good for like the second 8 weeks, right? That's what I could use, right? And I'm going to do something here just to teach you a little good advice. I have Taylor. I got the Colts, the Jags, the Giants. All 3 of those guys have decent handcuff running backs that I believe in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to queue those guys up. So worst case scenario, they're going to pop. When I look at my queue, I'll see them in there. Trey Sermon, I believe, is the number 2 in Indy. That's who I'm drafting as the number 2. I don't know. I'm just not a real big believer in Hall. I got Bigsby in there already. And as far as Singletary goes, Gray's the guy I've been drafting this whole year. Eric Gray. Here we are. Okay, so I got my running backs all stacked up in there. The very most amount of running backs I'd ever want on a team is 8. I mean, that is by far the most amount of running backs you'd ever want. And that would be like a situation where you just didn't have super stud running backs and you had to take a lot of flyers on guys, and say like that you go 0 running back build and you wait till like round 8 or 9 to take your first running back, now you might be in a position where you might want to take. I'll see you later, Hot Take. Thanks for joining, bud. You're probably gone already, but I appreciate you stopping in. Trying to make these, a tutorial for people that are learning to draft on Drafters. These are 20-round drafts, so it's a little different than Underdog. You can wait on some things that you might take in round 18 to round 20. But if it's a good player, he might go a little sooner than round 18 because there's a little bit less cuffing in Drafters than Underdog. Mainly the reason is in Drafters, there's no tournament. It's not like a head-to-head. You don't have to qualify for anything to advance into the next round. It's just the most points wins. So in this particular format, whoever has the most points at the end of the year with their team is going to take first place in this tournament. And, it's a little bit different in the sense that people stack running backs. I think stacking receivers is smarter than stacking running backs here. And I'm going to draft Will Levis. I really like the fact that he's 10 picks past ADP, and I have Calvin Ridley, his number 1 receiver. So I'm going to just go ahead and take 3 QBs on this team. I got 3 guys with pretty big upside. Levis has got a cannon. He's got great weapons. Watson, if he comes back to where he was, he's going to be phenomenal. And I think Stafford, is probably one of the only quarterbacks in the league that can get 2 top 15 receivers, and I think he'll do it this year. So I'd like to get some correlation here, what Stafford, Watson, or Levis, but it's really too late for Stafford. His top 3 receivers are gone. Watson, I can wait on Elijah Moore, get him later. And Levis, let's see. I'm going to take Jalen Tolbert here. I think Jalen Tolbert's been kind of the standout in Dallas camp. I'm a huge believer in Jalen Tolbert. He's been going higher and higher. He was about 205 a week ago, and he's at 194 now. So that tells me that people are taking him more in the range that I just took him in, because there's a balance that happens with this. And people are going to take people way higher to go up 10 spots in a week. That ADP is for the whole year, not just for the last 3 days. So Jalen Tolbert, another great option for me because I don't have any bye week 7 guys yet. And I have Ferguson, right? So now I have theoretically the 2 in between the hash weapons for Dak. And Dak's a quarterback that's really been known to be good in that in between the hash stuff. So I don't know if my TV's interfering here. I've been in here a long time to turn it down now, but I'll turn it down a little bit. I had the volume low on the Steelers game. I do a little bit of reporting with my buddy Brian Pasquale for 99.3 Pittsburgh. He has the pregame show now this year. It's going to be a 2-hour show every Sunday, I believe, from 10 to 12. And I'm going to be on there doing some DFS advice and some betting advice. We're gonna do a little Pittsburgh Steelers best guys to play in your DraftKings lineup, and we're gonna do maybe the best bet to make for player props in the game. I'll probably try to lean, something favorable to the Steelers fans. So I won't lie, but maybe, for example, I can recommend a TJ Watt sack versus a bad lineman as a player prop. Maybe I can recommend George Pickens touchdown that game if the corners playing him isn't very good. Maybe I can recommend Mari Cooper not going over, his prop of 86 yards because Joey Porter Jr. has been phenomenal for them for the last 5 games in a row, and he hasn't given up more than 46 yards or something. So I'll be up to date on all that information. I'll be spending about 40 hours a week researching for my football picks, and I'm going to be doing an article every week. It's going to be geared towards. It's going to be called the Millionaire Maker, and we're going to try to pick one thing from every game that I like the most, and we're going to put it all together in a parlay, and we're going to see how much money it would cost to bet it and win $1 million. And I'm going to maybe take some gambles at it this year if the odds are, big enough to where I don't have to bet too much money for that. I'd really like to try to win a significant chunk of change. It's one of the reasons why I'm maxing out this drafters turn. So I'm on the clock. I should have been paying attention earlier, but it's okay because I've done a ton of drafts. I really just need more receivers at this point. But I am at pick 203, and Tank Bigsby is going to be going here soon. So, I think I'm going to take and go ahead and handcuff Tank. I have some bye week 11 issues on my team. I got 2 of my top 4 running backs with bye week 11, I think. So that being said, I want to protect myself against a problem in bye week 11. And one problem I could have is Etienne being out. And if he was out in bye week 11, I would only have Nick Chubb at that point, and Jonathan Taylor. And I don't know if I trust that enough. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hold Sermon and Gray, and I might handcuff all my running backs if I can get comfortable enough with my receiving core here. I'm going to need 2 more good picks at receiver to do that. I'm going to go with the first one being Darius Slayton. I love Darius Slayton. He's my most owned player this year. It's not because I believe Darius Slayton is going to be a top 20 receiver and I'm taking him early in the drafts. It's because I believe he's going to maintain the number 2 receiver role all year for the Giants. I think he's a perfect fit. He was the number 1. And I think that now that Malik Neighbors is there, Slayton has a chance to finally have, a little less double teams, a little bit more of a chance to hit some of these home run balls. Slayton's actually the fastest receiver on that team. He runs like a 4.33-ish, 4.36-ish. He's faster than the deep threat that they drafted from Tennessee, Hyatt. So, if you're looking for the guy that's going to hit the home run for the Giants, it's Slayton. I don't think he's going to concede that job just yet. I think that they have big plans for him, and I think that anywhere really after pick 190, you're going to get great value for him. I'm looking at the board here, and guys that were taken after 190, I like Slayton more than all of them. I like him more than Boyd. Slayton's going to have more opportunities than Boyd. He's going to have more opportunities than Franklin. He's going to have more opportunities than Iosavis. However you pronounce his name. He was not a starter on their depth chart. Trenton Irwin was. So just keep in mind the speculation that he was going to play slot might be wrong. I like him more than Walker. I like him more than Jennings. I just like him more than all these other guys. So I think that you should probably like him more too. Try to look into him. Don't let me be the only source of information that convinces you that. So my ideal roster build is probably 2, 6, 10, 2. My I have 2 picks left. And I have, I got a unique situation here where I really believe in Indianapolis's offensive line. And I really think that I should draft Trey Sermon if he makes it back to me. Jonathan Taylor is a guy I don't want to lose in this lineup. I drafted him with my first pick, and if he goes down, I would be in big trouble if I didn't have Sermon. I think that that's more important to me than anything else right now. And if Sermon makes it back to me, which I hope he will, he's not going to be too high on this draft board. Let's look at this draft board, ADP. So there's quite a bit of players between him and between now and where Sermon's showing up on the board. So there's a pretty good chance he makes it to me. Khalif Raymond is another guy that I like late in drafts. He was the most open guy last year per PFF as far as separation metrics go. Let's take a look at my team real quick. I have Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson, Will Levis, Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, Devin Singletary, Nick Chubb, Chuba Hubbard, Tank Bigsby, Nico Collins, George Pickens, Calvin Ridley, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Palmer, Jalen Tolbert, Darius Slayton, Evan Ingram, and Ferguson. I got a really good team here, guys. You guys are catching a good stream. I might not have that top-end QB, but I have 3 super good high upside guys that could really have as good of a week as any top quarterback anytime. So I'm playing that by volume. Sermon made it back. I'm not going to take any chances. Once you get here at the end, don't try to push anybody. Just take your guy, right? So now I'm really just going to be between Eric Gray and Khalif Raymond. I really don't know what I want to do here. I also have George Pickens, and I don't have a lot of correlation at receiver and QB besides Ridley. So, I hate to consider it, but Russell Wilson is in play here too. I don't like 4 quarterbacks. I did this last time that I did a stream, and I don't want to get a reputation for taking 4 QBs too much. But I think, if you really want to be real about it, there's a better chance here that Russell Wilson keeps the starting role this year there and plays a few times than a lot of these other guys have a chance to do. So there's something to be said about stacking a QB with a guy that should be drafted higher than he is. If we knew for sure Russell Wilson was the starting quarterback, absolutely for sure, he should be getting taken around the Geno Smith range. He should be getting taken before Daniel Jones, probably. Right? So, I'm kind of feeling this right now where why don't I just stack that up? Right? I got George Pickens. If I could take Eric Gray and hope Devin Singletary gets hurt and have the backup, but I already got my top 2 guys stacked. I hated doing that, but I did it, right? I did it because I didn't have a lot of correlation with my QBs, and I like to build correlation. So now at least I have possibly Wilson and Pickens and Levis and Ridley. When Ridley has a big game and Pickens has a big game, as long as those guys are the quarterbacks, they should start that week for me. So I'll be able to double up on those points and really max the value of this team now. And then Stafford and Watson, those guys are nice little – they're almost like my backups considering that I have correlation with these other guys. So that's the way I see it. Sure, Stafford and Watson are my 2 better quarterbacks, but the way this roster is built – to maximize the value of this team, I think of my starting quarterbacks more being Will Levis and Russell Wilson. And I think of my backups being more Matt Stafford and Deshaun Watson. And that being said, the fact that Levis and Wilson are my starters in my mind, it justifies having Stafford and Watson and having this 4 QB build. It makes it a little bit more of a better idea than normal. So I got an amazing running back room. I mean, how are you going to beat that running back room? And I didn't love my QBs. That's another reason I took Wilson. So now I kind of do like my QBs. Taylor, I mean, he's going to be top 5. Etienne was top 5 last year. So let's just hope he can do it again. Singletary's going to have the most amount of opportunities he's ever had. Like I said earlier, I'm looking for Chuba Hubbard to be my RB4 the first half of the year and Chubb to be my RB4 the second half of the year. And I think that's super smart to build your team like that. I think that you don't need 5 starting running backs, but it's real nice if you have 4. And here I do have 4. I have Taylor, Etienne, Singletary, and then the combination of these 2 guys makes a 4, right? Because they're both going to be good for half a year. And then right here, I stacked my top 2 guys because I spent top 4 picks on those guys. I don't like to stack my running backs unless they're super high draft picks and their stacks go late, right? I got Bigsby at 202 and Sermon at 226. So I'll tell you what combination I don't like stacking, even though it's high. Kyren Williams and Blake Corum. So the reason is Kyren Williams, I got to take him in the second or the third round. And then Blake Corum, I got to take him in like round 10. And in round 10, I could still draft starting running backs. So that's a stack I'm trying to avoid, right? That's more like a take your chance on one or the other situation. My wide receivers, I like my wide receivers. I think I got really good big play ability here. I got 30-point spike weeks out the wazoo available on this team. I prefer 8, 9, 10 wide receivers. So this isn't ideal for me, but I don't need to flex a receiver, and I can. I got good depth. So I got flex taken care of, guys. Look, I got 4 starting running backs. I got 2 of the top, 7 tight ends in my mind. I have Nico, who I think is going to finish as a top 10 receiver. I got Pickens, who, if he gets 130 targets, I think he'll finish as a top 10 receiver. Calvin Ridley's upsides maybe in that top 15 range. I think I got a top 20 receiver anyway with him this year. Pretty confident in that he's going to be the guy there in Tennessee. Brian Thomas is one of the best deep threats to come into this league since Randy Moss. His film was outstanding. I'm a huge Bills fan, and my draft crush was Brian Thomas. I must have watched 100 hours of film on him. I'm a huge believer in his ability. Paired with Josh Allen, I thought that he was going to be a lock for 10 touchdowns his rookie year. I don't know. I was really hoping to get Trevor Lawrence on this team or Dak. They both were sliding. I thought that I'd be able to get Lawrence. He went 20 picks before ADP almost. Dak sometimes slides. He didn't slide to me. So here I am. But my receivers, Josh Palmer, I think he's going to be a superstar this year. His problem is health. I'm worried about his health more than anything. So my receivers' bye weeks are real good. I only got 1 double bye. That's Palmer and Ridley. So week 5 is my only thin week. But I still have Nico, Pickens, Thomas, Tolbert, and Slayton. So I got 5 good guys. And other than that, I always have at least 6 or 7 receivers in my lineup every single week. And all I need is 3 probably. Evan Ingram, Jake Ferguson. I mean, that's just how I build my team. And I think I've proven in this stream that you don't have to be thin at running back or wide receiver if you go bully tight end. If anything, it's sometimes hard to get that elite QB. And I just really hope for some value to slide to me. And if I would have had some correlation with Goff, or if I could have still built some correlation with Goff by the time he went, I would have taken him. But by the time he went, His top 2 receivers were gone, his top 2 running backs were gone, and his top tight end were gone. And I just don't want to take a non-mobile QB with no correlation that high. I'll do Stafford, 30 picks later. But thank you guys for joining me. If you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, smash the subscription. If you got anything out of this video, hit a like. I'm really just trying to help you, trying to shed some of my draft knowledge from 300 best ball drafts onto you, and hope that maybe this helps you see things a little bit differently, and maybe you'll do a little bit more informed draft next time you go to do this. And I wish you the best. Hopefully one of these teams I do this videos with win some money, and maybe we can go back and look at this video and do a little write-up on one of the winning teams or something like that. Wouldn't that be cool? But thank you guys. Dan Neely with NFL DFS picks. I'll be producing some good stuff. Just give me a follow on X. Give me a follow on YouTube. I'll see you guys.